But the market structure. So in market structure, we have only three structures, and you can see that we have a downtrend and an uptrend. And let me just say, here is the uptrend, and here is the downtrend. As you can see to the downwards, and let me just use this pen over here, downtrend, and here is what you call an uptrend. Here is an uptrend, and so on. So we have that, and here it is some kind of like we call it consolidation or fluctuation. Here, as you can see here, we have a fluctuation here. um so it's not clear that it's an uptrend. And fluctuation, we see it, or consolidation, you see it when we are not sure that this is an uptrend or a downtrend. An uptrend must be straightforward. So these three structures, we have different ways to talk about them. Sometimes consolidation is not a correction phase, so, or a pullback. So I want us to talk about these three terms. In an impulse, these two actually terms: an impulse and a correction. An impulse or an impulse or a pullback, I think a rally and a drop. So let us talk about it. So let me just go to 5 minutes so that you can see clearly what I've already sent there in the group. So as you can see here, the market has moved to the. Let me use this pen. Let me put it down here. Let me use this pen over here and then show you. So the market went there, and it pulled back and continued with an uptrend. So this is what I'm talking about. So we as the traders, we let me do this first. Let me do this. I'm gonna remove this. So what most traders do is they check if this is an uptrend. So with that, you have to have a knowledge about what is the higher high and what is the low, or the higher low, right? And that's why I talked about it there. And it's easy, guys, to talk about. It's easy to know this thing. So uh, let me get it. So this is a high. Let me show by this pen. This is a high. At this point over here, it's higher, and this is when it pulls back. When it pulls back, it makes a low, and when it passes this higher over here, when it passes and go upward, it's creating a higher high. That's what we call a higher. And when it pulls back again, it creates a higher low over here. Down there, it creates a higher low down here. So this is basically what is happening there. So it's different from when it's a downtrend, because yeah, here we go. When it's a downtrend, it's gonna be like this is a higher over here. This is a higher, and it's going to create a higher there, and this is higher low, because it's lower than this higher, so it's higher low. And that's where we see that this is a downtrend. So a trend always have to create this higher low, or this time around, this is gonna be a low, and this is going to be the lowest low. So in this case, guys, we have to know that the market always do these things, always repeat itself, always creating the higher low, the higher low, or higher high. It's always creating such scenario. And so with that being said, we have to now go back to what do you call this okay, go back to the words, those two words: impulse, an impulse and a correction, an impulse and a correction. There always have to be an impulse, and after the impulse there has to be a correction. A correction phase, they're different, whereby you see that if you know price action, that's where you want to see where it's going, where this market is going afterwards. So in this case, in VEX, in this case here, the current market movement, it created an impulse. And an impulse, you're gonna see it by just how it moves. You're gonna see it by momentum, how it moves. So it moves quickly without wasting anybody's time, and it moves to the upwards. After that, it makes a correction. A correction is whereby it's just going to make no sense. So it's just going to go and up and down. A correction phase can be called a consolidation or whatsoever. It's a correcting. It's just a correction. It's a pullback. It's just a correction phase, right? So from there, and then when it's done correcting in this phase over here, let me just do this. When it's done correcting, right? Let me change the color. When it's done correcting, it makes another impulse move. After that, it should make a correction phase and makes another. Do you get it? Do you get it? Oh, I'm teaching you guys the things that mentors are saying. But anyway, let me just continue. So this is what you have to. This is what you need to know about this market structure. What you need to know is just even if you don't claim it, just know that the market always moves like this. Always the blue nation always move like this. It's going to uh move, make an impulse and make a correction, and an impulse correction, and impulse correction. uh and the correction, it depends really on what the correction is. Sometimes it makes an impulse, then a correction that confirm that this is going to go down, an impulse correction, an impulse correction, impulse correction, and whatsoever. Like it moves the way it should move. So that being said, okay, let me see something here. I cannot trade this with you guys. Okay, let me see something. We see it making what I was waiting for. So let us, maybe perhaps we can trade this one together. I don't know. If it doesn't take long, then we're gonna do it. Gonna trade it together. So it makes an impulse. Now is one to correct, and from there we can draw our trend lines, and if we pass here, gone. If this is a new impulse, that means we are in the call. We are fine. Remember, the market does not work with one scenario. So market just, it's a structure that it doesn't work with one scenario. You we Let me just talk about this. Um, as you can see here, you may say that this is a head and shoulder, right? It doesn't work with one scenario. So we expect it to move upward, but check what it did, and it moved in a different direction. So the market does not work with one scenario. This pattern, it's a massive pattern that moves the market to a different direction. So, but however, in this case, it didn't do it. So the market does not work with one scenario. With that being said, we'll talk about more things in the future. Short.